So we've already seen a variable as an integer data type where there is no decimal precision there, so whole numbers. So it stands to reason that we can deal with data that does have decimal precision. That we can see here in 2.9 with floating point data types. The floating point simply refers to how many decimals of precision that we have after the decimal place. This starts on 55 and it only goes for a few pages. From there, I am going to, for the most part, let you read through here. What I will suggest to you is the following, that in the way of how much actual memory space a float versus a double takes, a float is the smaller of the two, whereas a double takes up either 8 or 10 bytes worth of space. A floating point takes 4 to 8. So there's like an order of magnitude there. So floating points are for single precision, double are for double precision, where you need even more precision there. One quick note here. For most of you, you are going to choose to stick with the double or the double rather variable type, because when you use floats, the following happens during compile time. Most compilers, ours included in Replit, is going to store a floating point number as a double. So when you are trying to assign a value there, you're going to get a really alarming sounding error during, or it's really not an error, it's a warning during compilation time that says, something to the effect of not enough space, float versus double. It's not a huge deal. You can actually see, and I will scroll down here for you. You can see that here on page 56, where it's right up above me here. You can see if I simply put the capital F or the lowercase f as a just as a character after my my floating point number. So here you can see 1.2 or 45.907, and then put the F character there. That is going to force C++ to evaluate that as floating point, is going to force C++ to report that as floating point, and it will circumvent that warning that you see. That's all well and good. For us, for the size that we need, you can just, we're just not asking that much of C++. We're not asking that much of Replit. Where are we really going to suffer if instead of setting aside enough floating point or space rather for a floating point at 4 bytes, is it okay if we use 8? Yeah, it's just fine. So you can go in either direction there whenever you need. Decimal precision, a floating point is a smaller variable type that you can use there. The double is the larger variable that you could use there. And for most of you, you'll probably choose to live with doubles just because it circumvents that scary warning that essentially means nothing.